Good morning, sixth grade. Today is lesson 99, and it's on fractions, decimals, and percents. Okay, and we're going to work on filling in this chart. You do need your flip charts, so you need to get that, and you need to write these rules in your flip chart because I'm trying to simplify things for you a little bit and make things a little bit easier. Rule number one, and this will make a little more sense as we go through and fill in our chart, but let's go through the rules first. To change a decimal to a percent, like see here, we're going to have to change that decimal to a percent. So when we do that, we're just going to move our decimal point 2 places to the right and add our percent sign, and that's it. Okay? Rule number two, to change a percent to a decimal, which is what we'll do here, we'll change a percent to a decimal. We'll move the decimal point 2 places left. Okay, so that's two very important rules. Okay, that is going to help you specifically with the decimal and the percent columns. Okay, now let's look at our first one. First, we have a fraction which is 1/2. Now to change 1/2 to a decimal, let me show you what to do. Now I'm going to erase this, but you can watch it again and write those rules in your flip chart. Okay, or if you want to stop it right now and start it over, you can go ahead and do that and then come back to the lesson. Okay, all right, so if we have a fraction 1/2 and we're going to change it to a decimal, here's how you do it. You take the top number, you divide it by the bottom number. You say, wait a minute, Miss Thompson, 2 can't go into 1. You're correct, but you've got to have it set up this way. The top number will go inside the box, the bottom number will go outside. And since 2 cannot go into 1, you have to add a decimal point here and in your answer, and then add a 0. Okay? And then 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10. So there's our decimal, 0.5. Okay? That's all you do. So you may want to have this example in your flip chart as well so that you know how and you remember how to change a fraction to a decimal. Okay? All right, now to change that decimal to a percent, you remember the rule? If we have 0.5 and we're going to change it to a percent, we have to take our decimal point, move it 2 places to the right. So it'll be like it's here. And then here you just got to put a 0 in. So it's 50%. You say, don't we put the decimal point at the end? No, because if it comes at the end, that shows me 50 is a whole number. And so we really don't write the decimal point at the end of a whole number, do we? Okay, so there, we filled in the 1/2. Okay, all right, let's look at our next one. All right, here we have 0.3 is our decimal. Well, let's change that to a percent first of all. Okay, remember, if we have 0.3, and since we have a 0 on the left side of the decimal point, we really don't even need the 0. That's just showing us there's no whole numbers on the left side of the decimal point. So what we need to do is move our decimal point 2 places to the right, so it becomes the whole number 30. 30%. Okay? All right, one more section to fill in here for our fraction. Well, look at your decimal. How do you say that decimal according to place value for decimals? Do you remember? The 3 is 1 place to the right of the decimal. So what column is that in according to place value for decimals? If it's 1 place to the right of the decimal, it's in the tenths column, right? So we would say that 3/10. So that's how we'd write it, 3/10. Because that's how we would say that, 3/10. So that's how we'd write it as a fraction. Okay? All right, one more. Here they've given us percent. Now that 40%, 40 is a whole number, isn't it? Which it doesn't have a decimal point to move. But if that whole number, if we did write a decimal point with that whole number, it would come at the end, wouldn't it? Okay, so now to make it a decimal, we have to move it 2 places to the left. So here it would be 0.40. And since you have 0 as your last number there, you could even really erase that and just put 0.4. Okay. Now, how would you say this decimal according to place value? Remember, it's one place to the right of the decimal. So how would you say it? Wouldn't you say it 4/10? But now 4/10 isn't reduced. So they'd like you to reduce it. And if you reduce it correctly, it would end up being 2/5. Okay? All right. Hope I didn't go too fast. It's really pretty simple. If you can get those first two rules, if you can follow those first two rules for these columns, and then remember how to make a fraction into a decimal. Okay? All right. I tried to simplify it for you. You can still look in your book and go through the examples there. But go ahead and do your, let's see, your lesson practice. You're filling out a chart, and so you'll send me your answers. Okay? All right. Have a great day. Miss you guys.